That brings me to the corporate environment as well. In this our rebuilding process, right? I'm seeing and I'm hearing also from other Africans about when they see fellow Africans in important positions at work and they don't connect, they don't like give you that helping hand. They don't extend, that handshake, and they don't extend that helping hand to bring you up. And that's something I feel.
The longer our people work, the longer we stay in this system, you learn not to borrow people money, to lend people money. But back home, we lend money easily and they return your money.
But this time, I'm not even talking about money.
I'm coming. It connects to that stuff you're saying. We are trained here. They tell you that be independent. You are trained to be independent to a fault that you start also neglecting people.
Self-care.
And also neglecting people that you can also assist.
Yeah.
In Africa, we are trained
So you're saying that we are swinging too far.
Yes.
Because when they say self-care and then people take it way too far and then
it becomes selfishness.
It becomes too selfish that you don't care if someone next to you is dying.
It is the system here that makes it that way. Because if someone is dying, there is
African.
No, that's not African. If someone is dying, there is an ambulance. Trust me, if you suffocate here, if you stay in this train and suffocate, the next thing you hear is if someone do not call 911, they'll say call an ambulance. Nobody will come to give you first aid. Make sense? Except the person is certified first aid person. So if you in Africa, whether the person is certified or not, they'll come and help you and use their initiative to help you. But here, people will be scared.
But that also reminds me of what happened to Anthony Joshua and his friends, right? Because from what you might be able to explain this better than I do, right? Because if you watch that video, right, people just had an accident, right? Traumatized, probably injured, right? And you see them being dragged in that manner, trying to help them. So from what I heard from professionals, they could be doing more damage.
Yes. See, if like that one was a car collision, that was vehicle collision in Nigeria.
Vehicle collision.
Now, when there is collision, if there is metals pressing people, if you can pry them out pry them out before the ambulance arrives. In Nigeria, before ambulance arrives,
does it even arrive? Does it comes?
So that's what in the kind of environment you are, you gotta use your like I'm first aid certified. I will jump in, help.
Yeah.
But if I am here in Canada and I'm not first aid certified, I see something happen, I will ask, who is first aid certified? I will ask, that's what I would do. I would scream so that somebody that is certified would help. But in Africa, I would not say shit. I would just run in and help. Make sense?
Yeah.
So a lot of things like that. But when it gets to a court case, you must be certified for it to help, even in Africa in recent days.
Interesting. Okay, so I'm looking at how we can make meaning out of our rebuilding, out of our lives, right? And the next thing that comes to mind is mental health and identity healing. I mean, I've heard about mental health a lot, but I've not heard about identity healing that often. People don't talk about healing. We talk about mental health. But this identity crisis, in my opinion, will require some type of
I like
healing.
that angle, identity healing, because that specifically applies to people, melanin people.
Yeah.
Because a lot of communities, you see, we don't have communities like Chinese,
Japanese, maybe.
Filipinos.
Yeah.
If you check them, they're very culture oriented.
Yeah, yeah.
But
yeah.
because of our trauma, we were not able to. We find it hard for us to get us to reflect our our community association when we leave our own community back home.
Yeah.
When we come down here, Chinese, Filipino, Indians, they assimilate, they distinguish themselves to have meetings more frequent than we
Wow.
Africans.
Yeah, we have unity problem as well. But let's talk about what that trauma is, because I know that if the type of colonialism that we went through, right? I feel like one of the responses, one of the remedies, right, could be addressing colonial trauma.
Definitely, but you cannot address it if you cannot teach the history properly. And what they have done is, in 1969, the Rockefeller Institution bought the educational syllables. Now in Canada, we don't officially have history as a course, because they don't want me and you, people like us,
Yeah.
to know about the torture.
It's even worse in Nigeria.
So you see what I mean? So what I'm saying is, if we don't get back to re-educate ourselves of our history, healing, that is an obstacle in the healing process.
I would say one thing. In this process of recovering our identity, if you're going to read African history, if you're going to learn about what really happened, make sure you are reading African authors.
Beautiful.
And make sure that you are documenting what you're finding, because if we are not intentional about these things,
they'll repeat again.
It will repeat again, and you're not going to have any records, right? But if we document them, then they get passed down to the next generations.
And documentation will also help us to know what to avoid in the recent days when they try to reoccur.